Today on Parts Hold, we are going to talk about the health of your parts department and some signs to let you know if you might be out of shape. We're also going to talk about the fact that Cliff Honeycutt may be a complete fraud. And then we're also going to talk about some events that we're having at Chris Collins, both that have happened and are coming up that you're not going to want to miss if you're a parts manager. I'm Christian Lafferty. That guy is Cliff Honeycutt. So welcome to Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order. There is an incredible shirt that you have on.
This, my friend, hot off the presses. We just FedExed you your shirt also.
I can't wait. I'm going to wear it all weekend.
Yeah, so I have this frightening vision in my head of you at the beach wearing nothing but this shirt.
Just a Speedo and that shirt.
Right, which also hot off the presses, Parts Hold Speedos.
There's going to be so many parts managers out there that are going to want to grab their Parts Hold Speedo and wear that with pride.
Yeah, we've got to be really careful with logo placement.
For sure. There's a lot of bad visions there and thoughts.
Yeah, so we've been getting started here at the office. We are actively sending out some Parts Hold swag to previous guests, and a couple of big fans that have been waiting for us to come out with our swag for some time. So we've got, listen to this list: Parts Hold polo shirts, Parts Hold t-shirts, Parts Hold cups, Parts Hold trucker hats. But my favorite, the Parts Hold Post-it note.
I love the Post-it note idea.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, our director of operations, Patricia, is, I don't know, she's a Jedi, right? When it comes to, like, she can find anything and get it anywhere. And
quickly.
Yeah. And I believe that I said something to her 3 days ago about getting swag. And yesterday I had said swag, like created, produced in my hand. So I don't understand how that all happened so fast, but she's like, let me know if you want more.
So let me tell you because we're just talking about this now, but it just made me think about something. Do you realize I got a box of donuts to my house from Patricia? Like, how incredible is that?
She was actually kind of angry because I gave her your address. She's like, who do you think sends them all the cool stuff?
That's amazing. Like, a box of donuts. I can't wait to get my stuff. I'm going to be, whoever clients that are listening, I will have it on every time I come in the store. And I might not wash it during the week. Just saying.
Yeah, I think that's the only way it can be it could be a parts manager shirt, as if it's not washed. And then I need to also do this because, Chris says all the time, like, there's no new problems or no new things kind of come up in our business. But I had a unique text that I received today that I wanted to read to you.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? And you're in Philadelphia right now, right?
Right outside Philadelphia. That's correct.
Just outside of Philly. And you're at one of our clients, and he's one of my favorite owners. How would you rate him, like, on personality? If a 10 is like the coolest personality you've ever met, and a 1 means they're a rock.
He's easily at 11. Like, he is out of control, hilarious,
so
larger
funny.
than life, big personality.
Yeah. He's amazing, and he's a really, really good operator too. Super profitable in fixed ops, does a great job on the sales side. But I get this text, and it says, "Morning, your coach Cliff is at my dealership, and I wanted to make you aware, I believe he is a fraud. He's way too handsome to ever have been a parts manager."
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
No. I mean, that was
unbelievable.
That text message. So how do you respond to that, sir?
Flattery. There's some good looking parts managers out there, though.
Yeah, I mean, but you're a good looking fella. So it's hard to deny it. super awkward standing next to you. Like there's that fight is real. Well, you and I
That's
were just together in Dallas last week, right?
Yeah, it was fantastic in Dallas. A
One
little
of
bit
the
warm.
Yeah, one of the best meetings I think we've had. Um,
Easily goes down as just. I think the people that were there got a treat that they don't always get.
yeah.
Like they got some real one-on-one time, some real focused stuff that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, you know, the boot camp that we do for new service and parts managers, I think went off amazingly well. We tried a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah,
Chris had some really, really amazing material with leadership that he went over that I think that we all learned something from.
absolutely.
It was just as much for us on the coaches, so the coaches got to learn just as much as the clients. But it was really, really neat. If you haven't been to one of our quarterly meetings yet, you definitely should do it. And the best of our meetings is coming up in October,
I
and
can't wait.
we'll talk about this a couple of times. But I was just in a meeting today going over the speaker list, and you're gonna want to get your ticket. And the other thing is that we're only gonna sell sell if you're a coaching client, you get to come for free, but we're gonna sell tickets to the general public, and we've only got a few spaces. Like this is gonna be a nice intimate event, and you won't want to miss it. So if you're interested in coming to our Top Dog event, you want to send an email to info@chriscollinsinc.com and just put in the subject line Top Dog, and we'll get you where you need to go. But it's a really good opportunity. Dallas was an amazing warm up, and the thing I think that everybody came away with, and this is going to kind of lead us into um, into our subject today, is that we are the masters of our own destiny.
Yeah, that you're in charge, you're in control. Um, and can I backtrack for just a second on the top dog thing? I would love to see, you know, as many parts managers that possibly can. We had a handful last year, and it's continuing to grow. But it's a great place to network. The speakers are always amazing. The experience is probably one of the most unique meetings that you could ever attend for fixed ops. Um, it's a lot of party and great content that you walk away and able to reflect on yourself and really look inside and see what it's going to take to get you to the next level. But I'd love to see a tons of parts managers there. I think maybe they would be scared and think that it's just for service only, but it's not. It's going to make you a better person. We talk about it all the time amongst ourselves, but it does. It makes you a better person, a better leader, better, better leader at church, better leader in your schools, better leader in your homes, a better parent. Like it's just going to make you a better person. So if you can make it, it's the place to be.
Yeah, one of the best sessions from last year was the parts manager breakout. Remember that?
Loved it. Absolutely. And tons of the coaches all talked about it.
Yeah.
Like they were super engaged. Um, so yeah, it's
It was
great.
super cool. So what's our little topic for today, sir?
Well, I want to talk about something that you and I have talked about often, but I want to talk about health, if we could.
Okay, good. I like it. Oh, I had an anchovy the other day.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
I can't do it.
Fair enough.
But you know what I can do is tuna, and I can eat chicken breast until the cows come home. No pun. If there's a pun there, it wasn't intended.
Yeah, completely intended. But health, and so you're on kind of a health journey. I love trying to remain healthy, but I want to talk about your parts department's health.
Yeah, so I think that I'm assuming that you're gonna go this direction, but it's okay if you're not. Um, but it's essentially like health indicators, right? So with a human, you've got blood pressure, weight, BMI, and um, you've kind of done that thing where you've got some little indicators, health indicators of a parts department, right? Which reminds me, actually, I don't know if I told you this or not before we started filming, but I actually went to the doctor today on my lunch break, and I just wanted to. I kind of feeling funny, and I just needed to get checked out. And I walk in, the doc does the exam, and then he comes back, and He's like kind of hemming and hawing. I'm like, come on, doc, I don't have all day. And he's like, how did you know?
I don't even know what to say on these. Like they're getting the delivery of them is getting way better.
Yeah, because you didn't know where I was headed with that, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a point that you're trying to determine: is this true? Is this real? Are we really going somewhere? Um, I don't know that uh, the hit of the punchline is there still, but the delivery's far better, and the setup is great.
Yeah, I think I'm always trying to work that in.
The corniness is certainly there, but
Thank you.
nonetheless, the help. Yes, 100%. Um, there's things that are good indicators of your health condition. We're not going to dive too deep into each one of them, but I want to talk about each one of them. Um, no different than going to the doctor and finding out you have high blood pressure. If you see that you're on this list and one of these items that you could be better at, the reality is, much like we talked about at the beginning, you're the keeper of your own destiny. Like you can make the decision.
Your parts department's not happening to you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Awesome.
you got control.
So you got a little list there. So what's the first health indicator for you when you walk into a parts room?
Housekeeping.
Okay.
Number one is how's the housekeeping? What does it look like? You know,
Okay.
um,
So could you have subcategories there?
yes, absolutely.
What you mean by housekeeping?
Think about it in the sense of, if you come over to someone's house and there's clutter and everything, it's pretty good indication that there's disorganization within their life. Like something's out of whack and something's just not right. The parts department's a lot the same thing. Like if you go into a parts department, and you and I could talk about several that we've been into together and separate. And it's just clutter. There's stuff laying around. There's boxes on the floor. There's parts that haven't been put up from the morning stock order. I think all of those things are indications of how you keep and how organized your parts department is.
Yeah, so yeah, and kind of along that lines, I would say that when I walk in, I kind of want to go to like the warranty return bin, and one of the indications of cleanliness is that if I see parts sitting in there and there's no box, no bag, and some of them have a tag, some of them don't have a tag, it's a really, hey, you're right on with this. Is that how you do that is how you do a lot of the things in your department. So that's great.
So one of the things I was talking to an owner recently about, and we kind of were touching on this subject. But imagine for 1 second that you walked into a parts department and you saw a starter sitting on the ground.
Yep.
Now, you could probably look down and pick that starter up and you would see where they probably swept around it or there's dust collected around it, but there's going to be some indications of whether that part's been there for a really, really long time. If you took a $20 bill and stuck it under that part, how quickly do you think that $20 bill would be either returned or picked up?
Oh yeah, minutes, right?
Yeah, but we leave that $300 item on the ground. That's somebody else's money that we're in charge of taking care of, but we just can't take the opportunity to put it on the shelf. And I've had parts managers come back at me and say, "Well, the shelf was full because we stocked X of them." Okay, well, then move it.
Right. Like it's not going to move itself. Yeah, so housekeeping. I mean, and it sounds OCD, but like I think that it can be clean, it can be well lit too. And then the other thing is that like papers everywhere, I think really drive me nuts. Whether it's like invoices from Napa or all those other things where you look at the parts manager's desk and it's got no order to it. The shelves look terrible, and like you got like bent and broken shelves and all that stuff. Yeah, that cleanliness thing, I like that as your opener. That's really good.
The second thing that is a good key indicator is, what does your obsolete inventory look like?
Okay, so how do you determine that? Do you make them run the report? Because I don't do that right off the bat.
I have done that. I talked to them and discussed them on it. So It's twofold too. You could have not enough obsolete inventory telling me that you're not testing, or you could have way too much telling me that you're not managing it and not doing your returns.
Yeah.
So there's a twofold there, um, and probably maybe get some heat from that from some owners out there about having some obsolete inventory. But I think you have to have some obsolete inventory if you're testing and trying things. You're going to have some obsolete stuff.
I remember you and I specifically being in a store, and the obsolete inventory report looked bad. But then, do you remember? I don't know if you'll know where we were at here, but I took you into the parts room, and the way that I judge whether or not there's a lot of obsolete inventory is I'm always looking at the stickers. And do you remember the ones that I showed you in that
I do
store?
remember that story. Yeah, and I think that was probably 2020, 2021, and those stickers, best I remember, were '07.
Yeah, so we had 14 and 15-year-old parts on those shelves, and they were they looked like it. I didn't even need to look at the stickers to know that those things had been on there because like they're caked in dust, and it was. I think that that's a true indicator of whether or not a parts department's healthy. Is if you got parts that have collected dust, it's usually a bad sign. And then you can also see too, like I don't know if you've seen this before, but like you can almost tell that there's parts stacked on top of parts that shouldn't be there. And I
Yeah,
think that that's probably one of those things where if I think that you've told me this before is that everything has to have a place.
absolutely. The other one that's a big one that happens to a lot of dealers that really contributes to not only a large quantity taking up a large space, um, and a lot of dollar amounts, but there's a lot of managers out there that aren't managing their tire inventory, and it's becoming obsolete. And the labels are turning yellow, and there's dust collected all over them, and they're outdated. And you don't,
Yeah, there's dry rot on the tires before they're sold.
yeah, you don't want to put that. God forbid you put that on somebody's car, or I mean, it's just there's a terrible, terrible situation going on there. Um, but keeping track of that obsolete inventory, and even having and testing obsolete inventory, has to be a key.
That's great. I love that. Okay, what else?
Okay, moving pretty quick. Number three, I want to look at their lost sales.
Yeah, okay. So that's a catch 22, right? So tell me your theory on lost sales.
If we don't have it, it's a lost sale.
Yep.
I say post it and go back. If for some reason it's a carpet for an old, 60 model car, I can change that, but I don't want my counter person determining what's a lost sale. A lost sale is a part that I can't go to the shelf and procure.
Yeah, so you have to keep it clean. Now you manage it so that you don't want your, automatic stock replenishment to go crazy and everything like that.
Mhm.
But you need to know what people are asking for. That's one of those things that if we're not paying attention to what people are coming in and asking, at the front counter, and we're not listening to the phones, we'll never know anything. And I think that I don't know that I've seen too many lost sales reports where I thought that they were light. That I thought that I didn't think were light. Um,
So I just went into a store recently and asked the parts manager to see the lost sales report. Do you know how many? Just take a wild guess on how many parts were on there, and it was more than zero.
okay, two.
That's a little high. It was one,
Shoot, I was
and it was and it was
close.
and it, yeah, and it was mid-month. Like, you're telling me that you've had every part in stock?
No, because you'll go and look at their fill rate report, which is usually a little more accurate, and it's not 100%.
Yeah. Well, I've got another one, but the next one's going to be a good indicator of lost sales and whether you're posting them or not.
Okay.
But before I go on to that, um, let me add a little piece in here too. The only time that I'm not posting the lost sale is if it's a known back ordered part. But I still would post it at least once. If I have
Yeah.
multiple dealers around me, the same brand, and we're all searching for, some type of filter that we all knows on back order, maybe I'm not posting it multiple times, but I am going to post it once because I want to have it in the future.
So what's the next thing on your list in terms of the health report?
So this will pull right in. These will kind of run parallel a little bit, but emergency purchases would be the next item on there.
Okay, break that down a little bit for me.
So one of the things I'm always asking is, can you run a report for emergency purchases? And oftentimes that emergency purchase is very, very small. Now, there's a couple different scenarios that can happen. The main one being, and the big key is, we're not receiving them correctly. So oftentimes we take and receive it just as a normal order. Well, it's not a normal order. If we had an item that we didn't have on the shelf and we're having to pick that up from any vendor, doesn't matter if it's another dealer or an outside vendor, aftermarket company, it's still a lost sale and it's still an emergency purchase. In this scenario, I'm not necessarily talking about special orders from the manufacturer. I'm talking about emergency purchases to get a card completed and done, to get a body shop's order done. I'm picking up the part from somewhere else. That's the kind of emergency purchases I'm talking about.
Okay, that's great. So the double up theory, on the lost sale and emergency purchase is something I don't think that I thought of. And then I also think there's a lot of times too where people don't classify emergency purchases properly, and they don't count them as a lost sale. But seeing something on there.
Those two should mirror each other. I mean, imagine it being a mirror. If I had a lost sale on an item I didn't have and I went and picked it up, it's emergency purchase, so they should mirror each other. So that road kind of runs parallel to each other, and they should be kind of similar parts.
There'd be lost sales that you didn't purchase.
For sure. Yes.
So your lost sales report should be bigger than, but what you're saying is there should never be something that's on the emergency report. It's emergency purchase that's not also a lost sale.
Correct.
Did I hear you
Absolutely.
right? Okay, good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
And another thing that I find is sometimes we have a shipping and receiving clerk that doesn't know any better. And we started this out talking about it. It's our own destiny. I'm in control of that. I just need to communicate the proper way to do it and the way that I want to do it. It doesn't mean that we've been, that we're a guilty party or anything. We've just maybe not been doing it wrong to track it correctly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, good stuff. All right, what else you got on that list?
The last thing that I like to look at is, I often like to look at the last physical inventory.
Okay, you just want to see the last physical report. And then what are you doing to try to make sure that it's accurate? That's sometimes hard to do in arrears, right?
Well, one of the things I like to look at, it could be as simple. Again, we're talking about just a surface look, real quick. Is I can look and see how many write-ins they've had. That's a pretty good indicator to, again, number one, meaning how organized my inventory is. And then it would go down. Lost sales could be, a write-in could contribute to a lost sale. It could contribute to an emergency purchase. Heck, it can contribute to an obsolete part.
Oh, that's great. I really like that. So, the one thing that you didn't say that I was thinking in my head that you were going to say, and maybe it's because you categorized it with um, one of your other points, is typically when I walk into a parts room, the first place I go is a special order bin.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I kind of threw that into the obsolete, lost sales, emergency purchases category, but I agree, 100%.
Yeah, so the reason, the easy stuff is that, well, it's just money sitting there. It's a sold part, all that other stuff. Like, you can talk about the financial part of it, but what it tells me is how focused is that parts department on the customer. If the SOP bin is full, it means that we're not trying our best to serve the customer. So that's
For
why I
sure.
go in there and I look at that first, because it lets me know what I'm dealing with in terms of how customer focused they are. And the
Yeah,
ones that are really concerned about making sure they get their parts to the customers, get them on the vehicles, and the shortest amount of time are the ones that are really trying to have empathy for a customer where they need something and they don't have it, and we're the only people that can provide it. So I'm going to throw one out of Cliff's awesome list. My one list is the SOP bin. Lets me know how customer focused they are.
well, the question that I would ask you on that too, just because I want to kind of touch on this and maybe put a bow on your item. because I love that, is whose responsibility is it to make sure that that customer is contacted and that special order is picked up?
Well, the easy answer is everyone. And I believe that it's the parts department's responsibility, and service better act as a backup.
I'm in control of my own destiny. I'm contacting the customer 100% every time.
That's right. I think that's
That
the I think that's a way to do it. And I think that in a lot of cases, customers might be surprised to hear from the old parts department, but it's good to make friends because you call them back in a couple of months. Hey, just want to let you know there's a new accessory catalog for this Corvette. And I really think based on what you put on your car a couple of months ago, this is going to complement it really nicely. You want to come in and take a look.
absolutely. And we become salespeople in the parts department then.
Don't scare me like that. That's great.
I l I love it. I love it.
All right,
It's
cool.
awesome.
Well, I hope you guys got some really good tips of what I think that the biggest part about this is now you kind of take these things that Cliff brought to the table, what he's looking for a healthy parts department. And it's a good opportunity to do a little bit of self-reflecting and an honest assessment, and don't judge where you land. If you're great, great. If you're not great, that's okay too, because you can get better tomorrow. And really just that attention to detail and all the things you can do to have a really healthy parts department. You got to know where you're starting from. And I really like the opportunity that our parts departments have to become a customer focused, a great profit and retention tool for a dealership. And there's so much that parts departments have to offer. So that'll do it for this time. We can't wait to see you again on Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order.